I'm TJ Bashirs with VBelo Report. Thrilled to sit down today with Luke Pekol and Zach Pekol of the Lewis University Flyers. Um, yes, they play volleyball. More importantly for today, they're mathematicians. Uh, it's really the intersection of those two things, which is great because NCAA, they're all on the court, they're student athletes, and we highlight their achievements on the court a lot, but all that time spent off the court, in the classroom, in the library, staying up late, poring over textbooks, in mathematics cases, I'm guessing going through proofs, solving those problems. Uh, yeah, been there. So, Luke, Zach, thanks for being here today. Um, just want to, I guess, start by, the reason we're here this summer. You guys, put out some research that you guys had done for school. I guess kind of tell me about that project, where it came from, and why you chose what you chose.
Yes. So thank you so much for making the time to meet with us today. We're super excited for the opportunity. But I think our summer research this summer stemmed from the idea of we're pretty passionate about math and volleyball, and we wanted to find a way to combine both of our passions together. I find ourselves that when we are playing, we sometimes make some comments about like, oh, I wonder if a team gets to 5 points first. Are they more likely to win or not win? So that's not what we did this summer, but we focused on ranking methods this summer. But our first insight was we tried to determine, is home court advantage real? There's so many aspects that go into home court advantage, but we first just looked at the numbers showing, is there concrete evidence that home teams tend to do certain stats better at home than away? So that was the first part. And then Zach can touch on what he did for the second. Yes, thank you so much for having us. We're super grateful to be here. And as Luke mentioned prior, I definitely think we're passionate about both math and volleyball. The comments that we do make when we're playing or on the sidelines definitely are real and they make us laugh most of the time. But now that we first dove into the home court advantage and the statistical analysis, we focus more on some ranking methods and models. One of the most common ways, as you are probably familiar with, is the AVCA coaches poll. So we were trying to use like a mathematical linear algebra technique in order to replicate the coaches poll in a way and see if we can predict it and see if any trends are persistent regarding home court advantage. So that's just the main overview at the broadest sense of what we did this summer.
Just want to say I love this. I mean, from the very get-go, I think there's probably some similarities here. I don't know how many, commentators I've listened to volleyball match and going, it's like, oh, they got to get to 20 because then, they're set up better. And it's like, are they? I don't know. Does the first team to 20 win more often? Probably. But yeah, like having those questions, but then having, I don't know, not the skill and the knowledge and the uh I don't know, inquisitive mind to say, hey, how can we find this out? So love that you tackled that. Um, okay, Luke, I don't want to jump close to the conclusion of your piece, but home court advantage. What'd you find?
We found that there are certain stats that are truly indicative of home court advantage. That's not to say that teams, when they're on the road, are guaranteed to perform worse in statistical categories, but some of the key stats we found were like service error percentage, point scoring percentage. We found overall, we did some statistical tests, so we used like a pair t-test in a way, and we got p-values that were so significant that it showed that teams are likely to do these stats better at home. Something unique about our research was we used data from volumetrics. So we got consent from them in order to use some information for our research. So once we manually entered those three values into our data set, we were able to do some further research. But that took a little bit of time to transfer the volumetrics data and combine it with the NCAA data to make like a super massive data set.
Awesome. Was immediately wondering like, what data are you using? And how do you get access? How does everyone get access to volumetric now? For research purposes, I'm glad that they open that up to you all. I'm assuming probably help to have contacts through the university and be able to um, get access there. I guess out of curiosity, was there any look at like uh, home courts that perform better than others? I feel like there's the the legends of, playing at Smithfield House or Stan Sheriff in Hawaii of like, oh, even tougher home courts. Were you able to look into that at all, or?
We did not necessarily directly look into it, but based on just an over glance of like the statistics to the NCAA, like you mentioned, some arenas are known for home court advantage. Hawaii for sure, playing in a crowd like that, that's unmatchable. There's no other gym like that. So their teams tend to perform statistically significant in their gyms. But there are some other teams that are so talented, like UCLA, Long Beach, Hawaii, that they can perform outstanding no matter where they're playing. So some teams like that tend to like not skew the data, but it's hard to make a broad generalization. But there are some teams that are so dominant no matter where they are. And there are some teams that when they are playing at home, they aren't as dominant despite being in a home court advantage setting.
Yeah, I know one of the things I've been thinking through for my own model is, how do you capture home court advantage and how do you capture the differences or kind of the levels of home court advantage of, how much home court does a UCLA have versus a Ball State? What is how better do they perform compared to what you would expect in their environments? And that's a difficult question.
Yes, for
Well,
sure.
Uh, I mean, we'll take the one step out of the math world, but what's the home court advantage look like at Lewis?
I think that something special about playing in Lewis's gym is it's not necessarily like a full arena. It's more of like a gymnasium style. So it gets really, really loud really fast. So when we do sell out, I feel our gym seats, I'd say we sold out our Long Beach game this year, and it was extremely loud in there. And if we were to have the same amount of people that were at our Long Beach game in a bigger stadium, I feel the impact wouldn't be as dominant because our gym is so small, it echoes so loud. So that's great environment. Always having the chance to play in a sold out gym at Lewis. Our fans are amazing. They support us constantly throughout the year, and it's a great environment to play in.
So I'm hearing is we need more sellouts. I don't think anyone would complain about that. So, oh, I love that. I mean, those the small arenas I think could have the bad rap of like, oh, it's not as glorious. You can't fit 10,000 people. And it's like, yeah, and it gets really loud really quick. It's, I mean, intimate in the sense of like when, someone in the third row yells your name, you're like, oh man, I heard that.
Yes, for sure. You can definitely hear that. And our fans are pretty close to the court too. They're not so high up, so they can like see you right away, which is awesome. That's what I was gonna add. I definitely think how close the bleachers are to the court, like sitting courtside is a super unique experience, especially when we play like teams like Long Beach, UCLA, BYU, like some of the bigger schools coming to a smaller campus like Lewis. They definitely attract our fans as well as from the general audience nearby. So it's super cool to play in a gym that definitely supports growing the game at both the high school level and the college level.
See, now I want to know the impact of like average distance of fan from player and like how that impacts the game. Uh, next summer, next summer. Uh, okay, Zach, I don't want to say that predictive modeling has a soft spot in my heart, but it does. So, I want to hear kind of about maybe why you chose the coaches poll to look at specifically, and then have your method for looking at it and what you found.
So thank you so much for asking about the coaches poll. So far, when we've presented, lots of people have I think it's great that we're starting off by explaining this. I think the main motivation we use for the coaches poll was the fact that it's published most frequently. Compared to like the NCAA publishing RPI, it doesn't happen as much as the coaches poll does. So we really appreciated having the concrete idea that it's published weekly and more reliable in the sense of its frequency compared to other systems. For our model that we used, it was based on the Kali method. I'm not too sure how you're familiar with it, but a quick overview of it is that it's like a linear algebra technique. And two key elements that are involved in it is the idea that each team begins the season with a win percentage of 0.5. So unlike other win percentage models where you have 0 wins divided by 0 games, that's undefined. But this model changes that. Each team starts that season off with 0.5. The more you win, the closer you grow to 1, and the more you lose, the closer you grow to 0. Additionally, Kali's method also incorporates the strength of schedule, excuse me, through taking in the sum of ratings team has played. So It's generalizable. It's an assumption of the model that strength of schedule is taken into account, which is also super unique to see. Because if you just use win percentage alone, that can often be misleading because you can't really see the quality of your opponents, which is present across all sports. So the gist of it is that wanted to strive to find weighting for games. So a Kali model is capable of attaching weight to a victory. A common example that we use to explain this to someone is that a game that takes place in week one, let's say UCLA plays Grand Canyon week one of the season, and then they play them in the championships of the NCAA tournament. The game near the end of the season would seem to have more weight or significance than the game that took place at the start of the season. So our model can attach a numerical value to increase the significance in the rating of that. The fun we had this summer was deciding what to weight each game. So we used a algorithm that started weights at 0, went all the way up to 100 in small steps of zero point 0.1, but we are focused on a win at home and a win it away. And our model tested over 1 million unique sets of pairs and spit out the one that had the smallest average difference, which is what we used for our weights.
I have so many questions. Okay, so in terms of like, I guess putting all of these weights in, I mean, what does significance mean in the sense of, like the end of the season? Is it significant towards, as their overall record, towards, I don't know, like emotional significance? Does a Lewis Ball State match have more weight than Lewis, I don't know, Pepperdine?
So I think for this summer, we didn't necessarily focus on the time of the game, but that's definitely something we're interested in our future research. Some of the other models we've seen used for other sports did that time weighting. However, we are more interested in the home and away idea, especially since Luke focused on figuring out like those p-values that showed home court advantage for so many stats that take place in the game. So we focus more on the home and away, but we'd definitely be interested in expanding into time of game, maybe next summer, as you mentioned, with all our new ideas.
I'm sure there's a no lack of ideas or where you could take this. Which, yeah, another thought. But okay, so you plug in all of these, these weightings, looking at the matches. I mean, were you able to, I guess, and what was your like regression on the actual coaches poll?
So the error metric we used, well, we started by testing, or our training data set was the 2024 season. So we using Luke's stats data set with all the games that took place just between national collegiate games. So if Lewis played a Division III team, we would just eliminate that from the data set because we were focusing on the national collegiate realm. So once we cleaned all that data set, we did the iterations and trained on the 2024 and found these two parameters. And then we applied them to 2025 and they produced a smaller average difference on our test data set, which was great to see. So our error metric for average difference, I believe in 24 was about two-ish spots off. And in 2025, it decreased to about 1.5. So it doesn't seem, it's not perfect, but it's relatively small, especially considering other parameters we had larger differences of up like to 8, 9, which isn't really that good in a coach's poll of 20 teams. So the fact that we had about 1.5, we were pretty excited to see, especially considering this amount of time we worked on it throughout the summer for about 10 weeks. So it was just a step in the right direction, and we can definitely continue to expand in the future.
That's incredibly impressive to do that so quickly. I guess, you know, I have my own qualms with the coaches poll. But I mean, it is ultimately humans' opinions of what they see on the court, what they see in the stats, and also, kind of the I don't say like political jockeying, but if you lose to a team, you want them to be ranked higher because that makes your loss look better. So I mean, um, I'm assuming you can't really factor in that human element, but um, is in spite of that, it seems like there's still, some regularity to the poll. Does that kind of sound about right?
Yeah, I definitely think it's really hard to quantify human bias. As much as people voting on the poll would like to be completely neutral or data driven, I think even as an athlete myself, I tend to have bias too. Like if we're playing a certain team, the analogy you mentioned, if someone beats you, you want them to be ranked higher. I think that's a really good explanation. I'm not on the coaches poll, so I don't get to vote, but I can only imagine that biases do exist. And I think we shouldn't be mad at people for that because it's kind of human nature, it's inevitable. But at the same time, though, I think it's interesting to see. It's just so many variables go into it, and I wish there was a mathematical way to quantify it, but right now there's not. But maybe in the future.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's, not something to be mad at. It's part of what that poll is and what that captures. And I think, different models that are out there, different ranking systems, they all kind of have a different snapshot. I think of, like a camera, like they're taking different views of the same thing, have them in conversation, and ideally that produces uh, something that's helpful and gives us a landscape of, men's volleyball. Uh, the semester just started for you all out at Lewis, a week in. How you guys still staying sane? Still doing okay? I mean, your summer was spent, crunching numbers, so I don't know if it doesn't feel like getting back into school as much of just it's still continuing. But what courses are you guys taking this semester?
We are definitely excited to get back into it. We did spend a lot of time, yes, doing the whole number crunching, but it was a great experience, especially being able to go to a national math conference, present, win an award for our poster. It's irreplaceable. That's something I've never imagined experiencing, especially at this young age, but it was a great opportunity. But back to the courses, I am a math and finance double major, so I'm taking three finance classes and then I'm taking Calc 3 and probability theory. The goal is to become an actuary in the future, so that's where the math and finance comes in.
Nice. Zach, what about you? The dreaded mute.
I'm sorry, I was unmuted.
Okay.
Okay. I am also on the math realm like Luke, however, I'm more interested in the secondary education side of things. So the ideal goal is to become a high school math teacher beyond graduation. Right now, I'm taking three education classes and three math classes. I'm taking more of the upper level math classes like real analysis and abstract algebra. So definitely heavy proofwriting classes. And then my senior year, we're going to do senior seminar, which is like the Lewis capstone project. And then we're going to hopefully continue to expand this and present in front of our peers, faculty, our team at Lewis near a celebration of scholarship we have near the end of our spring semester.
This is awesome. You know, I think volleyball in general and probably men's volleyball specifically is just starting to dip its toes into the world of uh, analytics and really, I think getting more people excited, more people interested, more people asking these questions of does home court advantage exist? Like, how do we know a team is better? I guess, having you guys kind of a peek behind the curtain in a sense. What do you kind of see as the future of analytics or of, kind of asking these statistical questions of men's volleyball? Big question.
I think that going back to like this is a smaller scope, but just for like my research alone, I only focused on the 24 and 25 season. And we found, I think that overall 13 of the 18 statistics we tested yielded home court advantage potential evidence, which is pretty insane to think about. The ones that didn't necessarily pull up anything were like solo blocks, blocking errors, ball handling errors, because those are pretty like neutral across the board. Like they don't happen that much. But overall, our data was pretty convincing. But I think just because we focused on the two seasons alone, I think just expanding it alone, especially like undergraduates like us, show it's possible for anyone to get into the math and volleyball side of things. I think it's going to keep expanding. We see new social media accounts starting, we see new models starting, we see so many different ranking systems starting just in the last 2 years alone. So I'm really excited to see by the time we graduate how crazy it's going to be with the stats, the analysis, stuff like that. I agree with what Luke said. I definitely think we're both optimistic for the future. When we think about collegiate sports in general and data-driven models or other mathematically associated models and things like that, some of the sports that come to my mind immediately are college football, college basketball, some of the bigger college sports. However, we're beyond appreciative to see other people getting interested in men's volleyball and helping grow the game, especially on social media and other models like this. So I think we're both optimistic for it to continue to grow, but only time will tell. But we're super hopeful for the future and excited to see what it brings.
Out of curiosity, did you run this past uh, Coach Dan Friend at all? Like, did he have thoughts on this?
He was super supportive. We did run ideas by him and everything. And we told him, I think in April, that we were starting the process, and he was super supportive throughout everything. So we're grateful that we have a coach and we play for a program that is also into the data analytics side of things, especially on metrics. So I think the background they gave us through how to read stats and things like that definitely motivated us to find this success this summer. So we're grateful for all their support. I agree with that. I think all of our coaching staff and our team at Lewis is super into the stats behind, it's like the why behind the game. We're always trying to find ways we can improve ourselves and give us an edge in our competition. So I think through our experience the last 2 years being on the team allowed us to understand what to look for when looking at a stat sheet. We had the chance to analyze all 18, I think all 15 stats posted by the NCAA, and then we pulled the extra three from Metrics, which gave us the unique data set because not many people have access to the Metrics part. So that was super interesting to have the chance to look at the complete game, what we look at when scouting for games too.
You keep rubbing in that I don't have access to volumetrics. I get it. No, I mean and that's really, I think, the key to a lot of this type of research and progress is access to the data and getting it out there for not only people to see, but people to play around with. Um, the hot topic in the world is, generative AI and, how does that impact, not only these modelings, but how we process data in general. So I think lots of question marks on what that's gonna turn into. I don't know if I'm sure Volumetrics, their staff is working on ways to have generative AI spit out a lot of things. Um, but Luke, Zach, this has been a lot of fun. I'm excited that, not only that you had the resources to dive in and be able to do this, but that Lewis supported it, got you guys to the conference, and it was, rewarded and, for achievement. So this is, I think, a really big win, not only for you all, but for men's volleyball, for the volleyball statistical world, small as it may be. But thank you both for, I think, really helping push things forward and being, showing that there's growth to be had, there's more models to be made, there's more research to be done. And who knows, you guys might be, on staff of Team USA, looking at their statistical analysis, putting it out there.
Thank you so much for having us, and thank you for everything you do for the volleyball community too. We are super grateful for everything you do, and we just wanted to say thank you. Yes, thank you. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. We love seeing your models, your website, everything like that is super great for the game. And thank you again for this opportunity. We are beyond appreciative.